Hi folks, could we celebrate St. Patrick's Day without CNC machines? Let's take a look at how influential and how impactful CNC machines are in modern beer manufacturing. First off, if you hadn't had the chance to tour a brewery, I highly encourage it. Here in the US, I know most of the big public breweries offer tours. Take a look at this control panel. There is nothing low-tech about this. These things are not only sterile, but they're incredibly intricate with lots of parts that are either fabricated and machined. After that beer has been brewed, it's got to get bottled up or put into kegs, and there's nothing low-tech about this either. Manufacturing lines and assembly lines are often state-of-the-art. We've got automation equipment, we've got sensors, we've got robots, we've got end effectors on those robots, and almost everything you're looking at touched a CNC machine. Whether it was that grabbing arm for the end of that large, powerful industrial robot, or whether it's a bracket to mount the sensor, or whether it's the actual assembly line itself, these things are turned on CNC lathes and machined on CNC mills. After that beer is ready to be delivered, it's got to go out on a keg. And yeah, you might see a wooden pallet on some of those last mile deliveries, maybe when that keg is going from the distributor out to your local pub. But you also might see something like this, which is a customized keg pallet, which allows them to stack vertically. Because if you've seen beer in a warehouse or in a manufacturing facility, there's nothing small scale about it. Being able to safely transport and safely stack this stuff is awesome. This pallet was not CNC machined, but the mold to make it was. And in fact, so many of our consumer products or high volume manufacturing products were not necessarily machined themselves, but the mold to make them was CNC machined. It's fun to go look at things that we think were molded, see if you can find remnants of the toolpath. On something like a Lego, where it's incredibly well done, incredibly accurate CNC machining, maybe polished, maybe finished with an electrical discharge or EDM machine, it's going to be really tough. But I was looking around our shop and I grabbed our shaller bins. We love these shaller bins. We use them for how we organize our shop. If you look at the underside, you can absolutely not only see tool marks, but you can actually see the complete toolpath, and that's completely fine on a product like this, where I'm more interested in keeping the cost low than worrying about the absolute perfection that you see in a lot of consumer products. Whether you're drinking that beer out of a bottle or whether you're pouring it into a glass, both of those things were made at a glass factory. And guess what? Glass factories use CNC machined molds to pour their glass. In fact, our machine shop here in Zanesville, Ohio is across the street from the Anchor Glass Mold Factory, where they've got dozens of CNC and some actual still manual machines using them to both make and recondition glass molds. And finally, if you were astute enough to notice that some of that video footage was actually an Austrian beer company called Murauer in the central Austria, we'll end the video on a more relevant note, which is yours truly pouring the perfect pint at Guinness here back in 2003. And take a look at this photo. Sorry, it's a little bit blurry. Digital cameras weren't quite what they are now back then, but count how many CNC machined objects you can see here. There were numerous things here that couldn't be made without CNC machining, and not just the glass. This injection molded plastic casing that's going over the tap house, the stamping die that would have made the sheet metal stamping press tooling to make this cutout here, as well as maybe the formed shape here. This spout here may have been bent with a CNC bender, or maybe it was a CNC machine mold for hydroforming, which is a really cool technique where they pump high pressure water into a CNC machine mold to form complex shapes with hollow tubing without collapsing that tubing. The tap handle, the threads to fasten this all together, all things that were, if not directly CNC machined, made off of molds or tooling from machining. So it is not a stretch to say that CNC machines directly affect our ability to celebrate this March for St. Patrick's Day. Hope you enjoyed, folks. Take care. See you around.